remember telling my husband, I said, I don't know what's wrong. Doctors can't find out what's wrong with me. I literally feel like I'm losing my mind. And it got to where the last 2 weeks of my surgery, before I had my surgery, before my eyes were open to my answers, I couldn't even get out of bed. I had no strength. I told him, I said, I just need to go to a hotel and would you just let me sleep for a week? And, of course I can't do that because,
Right.
a little boy and my little boy is, um, he has taught me a beautiful world. He's autistic.
He's so sweet.
And, I needed to be strong for him. And I was so weak.
Hmm.
And I felt like I can't do this anymore and I don't know what's going on. And then I met with a girlfriend for lunch and we were just talking and I was telling her, everything that was going on because I really hadn't talked to too many people about it because I just kind of got tired
Yeah.
of telling people because really, Julie, like
Right.
what's next, like
Right.
I literally felt like everybody thought I was losing my mind because I felt like that. And she looked at me and she said, it's your implants. And I looked at her and I said, no way. My doctors would have warned me of this. They told me they were safe. I'm a pretty smart girl. If they would have ever warned me of all these things, that could happen, I would have never put them in my body.
Right.
Um, but I wasn't warned. I wasn't told of any of these things. And even though she told me that, I still doubted it. And then finally, I started getting this rash, and it was on my chest, and it was going up my neck, on my face, and down my arms. And I'm like, what is going on with my skin? And, like I said, being out in the sun, I just felt this certain way. And so I said, I need to go see a dermatologist. And I went to go see a dermatologist, and she took one look at my skin and she goes, I think I know what it is, but I need to biopsy it. And I can't tell you the name of it, but the initials are TMEP. It's a
Okay.
long four name, and I would kill it if I tried to say it. But it's a rare skin condition. And she goes, I want you, she goes, you are petite. And I know this is kind of a private question I'm asking you. She goes, but do you have implants? And I said, yes. And I just kind of looked at her like, I just was kind of in shock that she even
Sure.
asked me that because no doctors before ever asked me that question.
I love the
And
fact that
I
she asked you. That's awesome.
and I said yes. And she goes, I want you to go and do some research on your skin condition because your implants are linked to it.
Wow. God bless her.
And I remember I just started bawling in her office. And I went home. I and then I started calling around to different doctors and I was like, I have to get these implants out. I have to get these implants out. And then I found out how much it cost. Explant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is insane expensive. And I
And not
remember
covered by
looking at my husband,
insurance.
huh?
And not covered by insurance.
No. And I remember looking at my husband like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get him out. I don't even know if I'm going to have time because I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying. And I even got my life insurance policy out. I got my living will out because that's my background. That's what I did. So I know the importance of, life insurance and having a living will. And I even have everything I want done in my funeral written out.
There you go. It's
I
good to be
know that sounds
prepared.
crazy,
Mm-mm.
but I just, I've seen the devastation of people not having that in preparation. And so anyway, I just I got it out for my husband and I said, I'm dying and I don't know why, but here's all of my stuff. And he wouldn't even take it out of my hand. And so I went and I put it in our nightstand on his side of the bed. And I said, it's in your top drawer in in your nightstand if I don't wake up. Because I literally felt like I wasn't going to wake up the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's how sick I felt.
Absolutely. And how did you end up being able to do the explant surgery?
Um,
Because this is such a concern for so many women, how to be able to afford it. And, I've heard stories of literally, beg and borrow and sell whatever you have. And so how were you able to do it?
I had to, humble myself and go to my dad.
And
Um,
that's somebody who was hard to go to.
Very hard
Mm-hmm.
because he never agreed with it in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me I could have told you and this and that. They were never good, this and, Um, but, you know, he said, I can't see my daughter die. And he saw the struggle that I went through because while I was going through all of this with my health, I was taking care of him because he was in an accident um, in May of last year and flipped his tractor over a 5-foot retention wall and broke his neck and crushed his spine.
Wow.
And so he was
You
like,
were there for him in his time of need, and he wanted to repay you in some way.
yes, and it's not a tit for tat type thing, but he was like, I physically can't help you, and he can't because he has all kinds of other health issues and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And he saw how my body was deteriorating, how exhausted I was. Our son was just diagnosed with autism in April of this year. And then towards the end of April is when I saw the dermatologist. And he said, if I can do anything, I can't see my daughter die. And you've sacrificed a lot and taking care of me. And he saw, what I went through on a daily with our son and his therapy and the insane amount of money that costs,
Right.
even with insurance. So I was very blessed and fortunate.
Absolutely. So I'm so glad he was able to do that for you. Who was your doctor?
So my doctor was Dr. Polson. He's in League City, Texas,
Okay.
and I did a lot of research because I felt like I did a lot of research on doctors in the beginning. That's kind of how I am. I don't just go with like the first
Right.
one. And I felt like I needed to go back to, at first, my first surgeon, and I don't want to mention his
That's okay.
name,
Mm-hmm.
that put him in. And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy and kind of made a joke about it. And even my right implant had fallen. And it was like he didn't even want to, oh, they look perfect. They look
Oh,
fine.
it was like
You know?
bottomed out, and he just wanted to ignore it, huh?
Yes. But I'll do your surgery.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just going to remove the implants. And I said, no,
Right.
because I, again, did my research. And even you told me, you said, no, ma'am, you need everything out. And I was like, okay. And so, but I was still going to go with him, as crazy as that sounds. And then the morning that I was going for a pre op, a girlfriend of mine, a dear friend of mine, reached out to me. And she said, Julie, please don't go to him. He didn't do my explant properly and I almost died
Mm.
and had to have multiple surgeries after that.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was like God, he's always been like, I have your back,
Yes.
I have your back. And so she said, you need to go see Dr. Polson. He's amazing. He saved my friend's life. He knows what he's doing. So I did research on him, and he's a microsurgeon
Yeah.
and a believer.
Awesome. That's wonderful. It's such a blessing to find a doctor who is willing to do the total capsulectomy or en bloc surgery and who also believes in our illness, because it's just, there's something to be said for finding a doctor who truly believes you, and it allows you to go into surgery fully trusting that they have your best interests at heart because they know how sick you are and they know how real this illness is. So that's amazing. So how did you feel when you woke up from surgery?
And that morning of surgery, he took a look at me and I looked green. That's how my skin looked.
Yeah,
You
your
couldn't even
before
see,
pictures are just incredible.
you couldn't even see the white eyes. I mean, he even told me, he said, you look like a skeleton. I looked like death and I felt like it.
Yeah.
And anyway, long story short, 4 hours later, I woke up. And I remember before I went into surgery, I asked my husband to take a picture of me with my nurse.
I have
And
that. You're like,
yes,
I
like
love it.
I still have my
You
little guns.
do.
But and when I woke up, I told my husband, I want you to take a picture of me. I had to see what I looked like, because I had seen, all these other pictures of what women look like after getting theirs out. And I'm like, I need this. And I just needed the proof. And so I told my husband, I said, take a picture of me. And so he took a picture of me and he handed it to me. And I just looked at it and I just cried because you could see the white of my eyes. My skin color had changed.
Mhm.
It was like life was breathed back into me.
Yeah.
Um, when I woke up, I could see the clock across the room, what time it was. Before that, I couldn't. I would have to do like this and like walk up to things because my vision was just so blurry.
Even colors, right? Even colors become more vivid. Everything
Yes,
is just, it's like before, when we talk about brain fog, it's almost as if you're walking through a fog, like a thick fog. You can't see clearly. Nothing looks as like it's real. It just looks like everything is, you're living in a dream. And then you wake up, and if you're blessed enough to feel well immediately upon waking, or maybe it's a little bit down the road, everything looks just clearer to you. It's amazing.
yes. I mean, when I woke up, 90% of my health problems were gone. And I remember my nurse was talking to me and asking me how I was feeling and talking to me about my drains and stuff like that. And I remember looking at her and having a clear conversation with her. And I looked at her and I just started crying. And she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I can actually have a conversation."
Yeah, because your head is clearer and you can think and you can remember what you're talking about.
Because before I couldn't. I would be in a
Yeah.
conversation like I'm talking to you, and I would stop in mid conversation and I'd be like, "Tara, I don't know what we were just talking about."
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So like I was having a clear, full on conversation with her, and I remember I was so excited about that,
That's awesome.
and it made me think of my grandmother. I was like, you know what, I'm not, losing my memory and things like that. I was just sick.
Yes. Yep. And thank goodness you figured out what was wrong with you.
Yes.
That's awesome. So how many months post-op are you now?
So my surgery was May 2nd, if I do the math right. September 2nd, 4 months.
Okay.
So almost 5 months.
That's awesome. Um, and have you, because I know some women who are watching are going, well, I didn't get well right away, and I wasn't that lucky. And I always try to talk about maybe some of the not so pretty stuff. So I'm thrilled that you woke up and you were one of the blessed ones to feel well. Because when the viewers are able to see your pictures, they'll see just how severely sick you were. And I would agree that looked like death. I don't know how to say that any
It's okay.
nicer.
I even said the same.
Yeah. So have you suffered from any flare-ups of symptoms within the 4 months of your healing?
Yes.
And what does that look
So,
like for you?
um, the hill is so real that it can be so difficult at times
Yes.
because those flare ups, when they rear their ugly head at you, I'm not going to lie, I've had moments of, I've been discouraged. I'm like, I'm getting sick all over again,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
It's scary, right? You start to
it's,
think, oh my God, everything's coming back and
yes,
I'm not well. And this was just a short period of time where I felt good. And now this is happening to me all over again. And, I've said to some friends, like, it's almost as if we have like a post-traumatic stress because it was such a traumatic event. And I think just the trauma in general, um, it just wreaks havoc on us. And so you get scared during those flare
yes,
times for sure.
yes. And I noticed that my flare ups would come when I started thinking about my flare ups. It was around during like my cycle time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I would text you and I would say, I'm feeling this certain way. And you would say, well, is it da da da? Da? I'd be like, yes. And, but my bad days that I have had since my explant, um, don't even measure up to how I felt before. I mean,
Even probably a bad day now is nothing
yes,
compared to a good day when you were sick, right?
there's no comparison.
Yeah.
There's no comparison at all, because I pretty much didn't really have any good days.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Um, do you have any advice for women who are watching and maybe going through a flare or haven't yet experienced one, or just kind of how at this point, like what you've learned on how to make it through those times?
What I always keep thinking in the back of my head when those flare ups and things like that happen is, and learning about, fitness and nutrition, and when you're taking care of your body and you're eating right and you're going to the gym, if you're sick for a long time, it's like going to the gym, you know, your body isn't gonna, your body composition isn't gonna change overnight.
Right.
If you're trying to change it a certain way, just like, you know, um, your health isn't going to 100% change overnight. I was sick for so long and I had all these toxins in my body that's what I keep reminding myself of, that it's a process. It's a process to get these toxins out. You know,
And it
arsenic, lead, and mercury and mold. I had mold in my breast.
Yes,
Insane.
it is insane. And I also think that anytime we're healing from anything, healing always goes a couple steps forward and then a few back, and then a couple
Yes.
steps forward and a few back. And I feel like those flares are our bodies just taking a few steps back. And then the next time we go a little bit healthier and then we take a couple
Right.
steps back, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, one thing I've learned is, I'm the type of person, like I said, I'm always go, 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 and I don't know when to stop. And I feel like my flare ups are a reminder that I need to sit down, I need to slow down, and I need to rest, and I need to relax, because I don't really know how to do that all the time. And especially if, anyone knows about autism, having a child that's autistic, it's a beautiful world and I wouldn't change it. It's a lot of work,
yes.
you know, and but God knew, He knew I needed Him and He needed me, and I needed to get my health back. so that I could take care of him and be his voice, and that's what keeps pushing me forward when I have those flare-ups, is saying I found my answers.
So now that you are 4 months post-op, I know that many of us in the breast implant illness community look forward to advocating and, doing something to make a difference, because we all feel grateful that we got our lives back, and we all feel inspired to see some sort of a change
Yes.
in this whole process, in this world, something like that. So, um, what have you been up to, Miss Julie, in trying to advocate and make a difference in some way for people?
Well, myself and two other girlfriends that have been through the same thing, and actually one of them was the one that told me about my implants, and the other one was the one that told me don't go to that surgeon. And
Okay.
both of them helped save my life.
And who are they? What are their names? We got to give them a shout out.
uh, Elena Tara Compton. The one is Tracy Wyatt.
Awesome.
Um, both beautiful girls, beautiful souls. They're the ones that loved me enough to reach out and tell me the truth. And so I can't say the name right now. Well, we're wearing the shirts, but they're
We
kind of
can't, because
hidden.
I was gonna.
You can't see it, can you?
No, you can't. But I was gonna put mine up.
I, I'll go ahead and let you do
Okay.
it.
Can you see?
Humble warrior. Yes.
I love it.
So, yes. So we're going to be starting a private group, and in this group, it isn't just about breast implant illness. Um, a lot of times, whenever you go through health things like that, what we've gone through, it breaks you. It can break you, and you are broken.
Beautifully
That.
broken. Beautifully
Yes,
broken.
beautifully broken. You are. But it's what you decide to do with it that matters. We have a choice. And I said, you know what? I could either I could become angry and bitter because I was lied to, and, I went through all these things, or I went through these things for a reason and a purpose, and my life was saved, and I need to use my voice to bring awareness and help other women. I have a lot of family and friends who have implants. I love them. I don't look at them like, ooh, you have implants, you need to get them out. I'm not that type of, I'm not that way, but I tell everyone, I loved my implants. I wish I could have kept them, but, it came to a choice of either live or die.
Yeah.
And I actually had all my breasts taken out. So I have nothing left and scarred from one side to the other. And that's been something that was hard for me to accept. But it had to, humble me. I had to be completely broken to see life differently, and to see that, what, I really am beautiful without these implants. It took a long time,
Yeah.
and this group is, so it's not just about implants. It's also about one of the girls, her son has Down syndrome. My son is autistic. The daily struggles that us mothers go through, um, that some people take for granted with their kids,
Sure.
and even having kids by themselves without having special needs is hard these days,
Yes.
And the world can be cruel, and so just having that support and understanding, because I understand that there's a lot of people out there that, don't understand what autism is, or, they look at someone with Down syndrome as different.
Right.
and they're both beautiful.
Absolutely. It's all
And
beautiful.
and so and in this group, we've also us ladies have had very close loved ones in the past year commit suicide. I've had very close friends and other people I've known go through that, but I've never personally gone through it myself. And so it's a very devastating thing, a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, that are left behind for the loved ones that
Right,
are here still. And
right,
so I think this group being a support somewhere that people can go, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think, making this not just about breast implants, but about all struggles, all different types of traumas and things that we suffer as women and struggle with on a daily basis, whether it be self-image, suicide, divorce, any of
yes,
those things. It's all such serious stuff. And just to have a place where you could go to be uplifted and have a, positive energy and just that support, because not everybody has that support. I think it's a beautiful thing that you girls are going to do. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have it's gonna be very positive, like no negativity. Will not have it. No drama. We don't need that. We've all been through enough, right? Um,
Absolutely.
these women that are doing this group with me um, have been my left and my right arm, you know. Um, and we need women like that in our lives, and we I went through this for a reason, and I share my story because not out of judgment, but I just want to bring in courage and hope and possibly save someone's life like mine was saved, and it's 100% not out of judgment.
Absolutely. You're okay with women doing whatever they feel that they want or need, but you want them
Yes,
to be fully aware of what could possibly happen.
right,
Yeah. And
right,
there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about education, and knowledge is power. So, just empowering women to know the truth and, making a fully educated decision before they go
right.
ahead and alter themselves in any way. So,
Yes. And I
I
will say your book has been my saving grace.
thank you.
I could not have gone through this without your book. I
Oh.
have actually read it, not gonna lie, 7 times because I need to keep reminding myself of different things when I'm struggling or going through something. And every time after I have pages um, marked off that I'll go back to just to, remind myself. And I want to thank you for being so open and writing that book for women like me
Well,
and for thousands.
thank you so much. Julie, it warms my heart. First of all, I didn't know you've read it that many times, and the fact that you
Well,
brought
part of it was because I was sick before and I couldn't remember what I read. Not gonna lie, but
well, then I'm so glad you went back so that you could retain it all now, right?
so 2 times before I was sick and 5 times
Oh,
afterwards.
that is so sweet, and it's been my pleasure. When I've said this before, when I wrote the book, when I wrote the story, it was not a book. It was just me sitting down trying to process what in the world just happened to me. And knowing that I wasn't the only one that had gone through it, my mom read it, and I said, "Do you think anybody else might want to read it?" And she said, "Yeah, I think maybe a few people could definitely read this." So,
A few people, I love your
a few
mom. She's so
people,
awesome.
a few people turned into a whole bunch, and I just feel very grateful that I've bonded with so many women. Not all as much as I've bonded with you in particular. There's been just a handful of girls like yourself that I feel very connected to, and um, helping you through your process helps me heal as well. Your surgery was just 2 days away from my own year explant anniversary, and you know I certainly just have a bond with so many, but you in particular have touched my heart, and your story is amazing. Um, and I know that it's not always easy to share some of these things because we've been hurt, and these scars that you can't see, they run deep. And I
Yeah.
know that it's not always easy to be vulnerable and put yourself out there. But you did it, and you're amazing. And I think that your story is going to save people, it's going to inspire people, and you're well, and you can focus on both of your sons, in particular, your little guy who, is amazing and he needs you.
I just want to say, when you were saying where I've come from the beginning to where I am now, I had a very dear friend of mine who was another friend of mine whenever I was having my anxiety attacks and thought I was dying and didn't know what was wrong. And they were like constant all day long. And I would call her because I was scared I was going to be at home with my little boy and die. And him being autistic, I was worried like if the ambulance came, he's nonverbal, like,
Right.
what's going to happen? And I couldn't stop my anxiety attacks. I would walk around my house and talk to myself, but they just wouldn't stop. And I remember I would call her and she would always answer. And she would just start praying with me. And I could just feel the anxiety leaving. And she said to me one day, she said, Julie, she used to always say this, and now I say it all the time. She said, God knew what you were preparing your body for, even though you didn't know.
Amen.
And you had to get your mindset right to go through what you were about to go through. So she broke it down and made it real for me and made me remember because I didn't think about those positive things.
Absolutely.
And she said, life's about choices. You can either choose to be angry about what happened to you, or you can choose to share your story and bring hope and possibly save someone's life and just bring awareness and love people through it. And I was like, and I sat down one day and I said, you know what? Because I remember I was like texting you and I'm like, this and this and this, and I can't believe it. I was just so upset because I just felt so deceived.
Yeah.
And then just one day I said to myself, you know what? She's right. And my mind is going to continue to go in this vicious cycle until I just stop it. Your mindset is so important.
Yes, it is. That is so true. Like I said, in the book, your anger is an extension of your implants. So if you hold on to that anger, you're never going to move forward with your healing. You have to let that go in order to move forward, because I firmly believe what you and your friend believe is that we didn't go through this for no reason. We went through this because we all needed to learn a certain lesson. There was a certain thing that brought us to getting our implants, and there was a certain thing that we had to face head on again when we got rid of our implants, because that issue didn't go away. That void, like you
No,
said, was not filled with the implants. And so we still had to face that issue, whatever that might be for each of us, head on after getting our implants out. And there is a lesson. And if you're going to walk through a storm, you have to come out with something positive, or else what did we go through it all for, right?
right. There's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
And so when she said that to me, it was just like a light bulb came on in my head. And then I heard the song, and in that same day when she told me that, someone sent me a song and said, I want you to listen to this song. And it was Tina Wines. And the song was Beautifully Broken. And I remember whenever I heard that song, I was in my living room and my little boy was just taking a nap. And that's when I just felt all the weight
Because it's
and that
almost
I
like
am.
it allows you to be beautifully broken when you can say to yourself, yeah, you know what? I'm broken, but I'm strong as hell and I made it out alive. And look what I've been through. And I turned it into something amazing and beautiful and wonderful. I hope that you have been back to see your dermatologist that told you about your implants.
Oh yes, I've actually went to several of my doctors.
Okay, good.
And all my blood work was in normal ranges, and even my white blood cell count was in normal ranges, and it hadn't been in normal ranges in 4 years.
Unbelievable.
So that's, to me, besides how I looked and felt, that speaks volume.
Absolutely. A true warrior and humble at that.
I love you so much, and thank you for taking the time with me this evening, and we'll talk soon.
Every tear, every doubt, every time you've fallen down, when you're hurting, feeling shame, when you're numbing all your pain, when you've lost your way and feel so far away, you're not, you're beautifully broken, and you can be whole again. Even a million scars doesn't change whose you are. You're worthy, beautifully broken. Every fear of being loved for who you are, no matter what. When you're stumbling with each step and you're haunted by regret, when the darkness closes in, just listen. You're beautifully broken, and you can be whole again. Even a million scars doesn't change whose you are. You're worthy, beautifully broken. You're beautifully broken, beautifully broken. You're beautifully broken. Oh, the God who made the stars is the God that made your heart, and He's holding you right now. He can heal the broken parts and make beauty from the scars, beautiful scars. You're beautifully broken. You can be whole again. Even a million scars